Locked On Ole Miss is on the road for Ole Miss, and Tulane is coming up in about 2 hours. We're going to pregame like always. Mike Huseman's going to be in the house. This is a remote version of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We're going to be joined by Mike Huseman in just a minute to talk about this momentous, historic, superb day for Ole Miss football. But first, I do want to let you know that, hey, thank you for coming in and making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the entire country. That is all on you. Thank you so much, and thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day. Thanks for tuning in. And join the Everydayers Club. We're going to put a QR code up from time to time in this show and in the postgame show. That right there is the link to the Everydayers Club. Sign up for that. We would appreciate it. All right, we're going to be joined by Mike Huseman. And Mike is going to let us know exactly what to expect in this playoff. We had a weird couple of playoff games that have happened so far. Texas A&M and Miami. Miami is driving for a field goal potentially at the end of the first half, but this is not a teach tape of football. Ole Miss is coming up in about 2 hours. I'm pretty excited about where this could be. But before we get started with Mike Huseman, check out FanDuel. FanDuel allows you to bet on live sports. Check out as the momentum swings, all of that. You can react to the football game in real time. That is only on FanDuel.com. Check that out today. Anyway, Mike, this year's playoff is better than last year's playoff so far. But there's been some weird parts of this game for both teams. The pressure seems to have gotten to kickers. I think Tate Sandell for Oklahoma missed 2 field goals when that's more than he's missed all year. Miami can't make a field goal. Texas A&M can't play special teams at all. And it's a weird game, but it is a better set of games than we got a year ago.
Yeah, I think so far it is anyway. Now, we would have expected that this year because in terms of spreads and perceived abilities of teams, our first 2 games this year were the 2 best ones. We don't expect overly competitive games this afternoon and evening. So we'll see how the 2 night games go to look at the whole body of work. So far, they've been closer. Yes.
Yeah, from your lips to God's ears on that second part there. We'll see exactly what that looks like. And, you know, you've heard stories. Pete Golding, he got a lot of positive plugging on College Game Day this morning. They talked about the situation as normal. I mean, when the people of ESPN realized that they kind of got used, nobody likes to be used. So you knew that the rebound story was going to be about Ole Miss. And, hey, good for these kids and all of this. I think the Wall Street Journal basically did a story that said Lane Kiffin abandoned these kids and they could win the national championship anyway. All in all, today has been a good pub day for Ole Miss, and all you have to do, whether you win the game by 1 point or 40 points, just beat Tulane, and this season is already just a huge, massive success.
And today has to be such a relief and just an attitude of finally for the Ole Miss people, because so much has happened since your last game, and you're finally at that point where we can put it all behind us. We're just going to get to play a game now. Because the Egg Bowl feels like 3 months ago, to be honest. It really does.
It really does. And you know, the Ole Miss Tulane rematch that we're talking about is exactly 3 months ago. It was September 20th. It was 3 months ago. I mean, that feels like another lifetime, another season, essentially. And listen, the thing that I've been talking about on my podcast over the course of the week is Ole Miss has a superior offensive line to Tulane's defensive line. Ole Miss has a superior defensive line to Tulane's offensive line. And Tulane is ranked number 122 in passing yards allowed. That is not a recipe to pull off an upset against Ole Miss.
No, but they're not as great against passing yards, they are elite at creating turnovers in the pass game. Well, they're 8th in creating turnovers on defense. So that's how they're doing it. They've 24 takeaways. So that is how they are allowing those yards, but also maintaining, success on D. And but you look at the SP plus and their defensive success rate, 101. I mean, that's not good there. And another thing where I think Ole Miss could have a massive advantage in this one is in doing the deeper dive. And I wrote about this in the article, that you put out there. Fourth in the country in you can separation early if you're hitting those deep shots.
Yeah, and it got one of the things. Jordan Rogers, I think, talked about it a night or two ago, to where whenever Ole Miss gets man coverage, they've got so many athletes that they could hit. It's almost like Trinidad Chambliss just salivates at that point.
Yeah.
So if Kejuan Lacey can run the ball at all, force Tulane to play man coverage and play the run, what they have to do, it should all open up for Ole Miss. And that, honestly, if you want to look at the path to a route in this game, the path to the route is Kejuan Lacey gets off early. Tulane has to adjust so that they don't just die by not stopping the run, and then everybody has one-on-ones on the outside. And if that happens, Ole Miss has enough weapons that they're going to find the right matchup in any particular defense.
And I think so. Like in looking at a lot of the props and stuff for this game, Harrison Wallace anytime TD is one of my favorite bets today, just because I think the matchups could be there on the outside. An interesting one is 1.5 touchdowns for Kejuan Lacey. How do you feel about that one? Because I feel like there definitely could be the opportunity if they're running the ball a lot.
Yeah, he's a red zone monster. That's what he started this year. But even before, he was rushing for more than 200 yards per game. He started as a red zone monster. And Kejuan Lacey scoring multiple touchdowns. The only way he doesn't get that, in my opinion, is if Ole Miss is scoring on the explosive plays and not just getting inside the red zone.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the other interesting one I kind of like is a Jake Retzlaff over half of interception. I feel like they're going to get down, and there's a good chance he throws one at some point.
He threw an interception to Xavion Harris in the first matchup.
Okay.
Yeah, Xavion Harris got an interception against Jake Retzlaff, and that was like until the Wydett Williams interception against LSU, that was the first interception of the season.
Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with that, because if you look at Jake Retzlaff, he will throw it to the other team.
Yes.
He is a gunslinger at heart. He's kind of I don't mean this in a mean way. If anybody is Tulane fans watching this, he's kind of a B- John Mateer for the style of quarterback that he plays.
Yeah.
And he is going to gunsling. He's going to take shots. So if you prevent those deep shots, if you eliminate what Memphis allowed him to do in the first half against the Tigers, you're going to win this game. In the first half, he threw for nearly 300 yards against Memphis, by the way. He was throwing deep shots all over that half. Second half, he did next to nothing, but they won the game. So we'll see. It was interesting. I mean, it's one of those games everybody's going to throw out like, hey, it's tough to beat teams twice. It is different on the second time, and Jake Retzlaff, Tulane's going to be super motivated and all of that. And I don't know if
I think we take that it's tough to beat teams twice. That thought comes from the NFL, where it's teams in your division who are super familiar with you, who you're similarly talented with. That parable doesn't exist in college nearly as much.
Yeah, and if you want to be honest about it, the closest thing would be Georgia having to deal with that if they get Ole Miss next week.
Yeah.
That's a closer game. Yeah.
The game last night, too, I suppose, is another.
Yeah, because they were even. But this one right here, there was a little bit of gap on the line of scrimmage. Yeah. And because of that, you have to be really careful what's going on and how you look at it. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to continue to talk to Mike all about this game between the Ole Miss Rebels and the Tulane Green Wave, the debut in the playoffs for both teams. We will talk about that. It's all coming up next. The holidays always show up faster than we expect. If you're still putting together gifts or last-minute decor or getting your home ready for guests, Wayfair has you covered. Whether you need a quick room refresh, new bedding, or those final seasonal touches, Wayfair makes it easy to get what you need fast. Wayfair truly is your one-stop shop for everything home, with decor, furniture, kitchen essentials, and gifts for every style, every budget, all delivered quickly and easily. Their selection is huge, and I was able to find everything in one place. It's so easy to shop by style. It helps you pick pieces that actually fit your home instead of just guessing. Wayfair, their items you order will instantly refresh your space without a big project. Get last-minute hosting essentials, gifts for all your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. The NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. What makes live betting better with FanDuel is it's just so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. And live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly, and player props, well, their update as guys heat up. You can bet on the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. One thing's interesting. We're watching all these games, and I was thinking about the playoff game that happened last night between Oklahoma and Alabama. Oklahoma was up 17-0. There was a 3rd and 2 set up. John Mateer scrambled, and he could have scrambled for 30 yards. He decided to throw the ball downfield and take a shot play and try and score a touchdown. Right then, it was dropped by I forget his last name, but
it was Blaylock, the running back. No, it was the running back that dropped.
Yeah, there's a running back, and he dropped the ball. Oklahoma ended up having to punt. Alabama went down, scored a touchdown, and next thing you know, the game completely shifted.
Yep.
I don't get the mindset of every play score a touchdown. The point is, in my opinion, to win the game, and Oklahoma winning the game would be John Mateer running for 20 yards, scoring a touchdown, letting time run off the clock, kicking a field goal to where it's 20-0, and all of a sudden the dynamic is completely different. The way it played out, there was a punt. On that punt, if I'm not mistaken, there was a personal foul of some kind or something like that.
Was that the one where the punter dropped the ball? Or was that a different
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that might have been it. And Alabama ended up punching it in. It was 17-7.
Yeah.
Whenever you play in these playoffs, and this is the first time you've done it or you have that experience to pull from, weird stuff happens. It happened at Oklahoma. Stuff is happening to Texas A&M and Miami. They're all new at this.
Lots of weird ones this morning. Yeah,
it's going to happen to Ole Miss in their game, and it's going to happen to Tulane as well. I don't think people realize how difficult it is to play a college football playoff game.
I think that's fair. It's a combination of the stakes are higher, and you're rusty a lot. I mean, it's different if you've played a conference title game recently, but a lot of these guys, you're not used to this long of a break in between playing. So it's normal to have some of that rust, I think.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of rust in this Texas A&M Miami game. My goodness. Yeah. Honestly, it's just bad football at this point. I hope Tulane and Ole Miss is better.
And but also with A&M and Miami, these teams were not playing their best football at the end of the year either. So we're not having hot teams coming into the playoffs. I'm not saying they don't deserve to be here. They're good teams. but they haven't been great the last month.
Yeah, and the funny thing, I saw a sign on game day that just said it was a Texas A&M fan and a Miami fan standing side by side, and it said, "Dear Notre Dame, if you beat either one of us, you would be in."
Yeah,
and I was like, "That is a really great shade sign."
It
awesome.
is. Yeah.
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 So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it. I think there's a lot that goes into just the nerves, and you can't put a metric on how some guys internally are going to react to the big stage like this. It's like nothing you've ever played in before, unless you're in Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, who was in this situation last year.
Or, honestly, Trinidad Chambliss. It might not have been the college football playoff in D1, but he's been in these playoff situations,
Yes.
and they all handled this. Wydett Williams, I think he's from the Division II level originally.
Yeah.
This is one of those times where having players from that level is actually an advantage to you because of the experience factor. You're not going into this blind. Like Ole Miss has Pete Golding. Pete Golding won a national championship in D2 as a safety. He coached them in different ways, went through all of the stuff with Alabama and Nick Saban and all of that. He has seen it. He won a national championship in the D1 level in the 14 playoff. Pete Golding has an understanding of what has to happen in this situation where some coaches don't have anything to fall back on there. It can be problematic. Like Mike Elko. Nothing against Mike Elko, but this is probably the first time other than losing to Alabama in a bowl game. He might have lost at Notre Dame in that bowl game, but this would be his debut in the playoff essentially.
Yeah, and I don't think he was at Notre Dame when that happened. Okay. I think he was with Clausen at Wake Forest at the time. Mario actually has he was a Saban assistant, and then as a Miami player, he was playing in some major bowl games back in their heyday. But we also haven't seen that translate to great decision making in clutch times either on his part.
Yeah.
So
there's a real chance for the ultimate 4-minute offense blunder by Mario Cristobal today. One of those things. Yeah. He's lost 2 games where all he had to do was kneel down and he was going to win. And
absolutely.
Yeah, if it happens in the playoff, it'll end up on his tombstone. I mean, that's how serious that would be.
Yeah. Oh, they would not be too forgiving if something like that would happen today or in any playoff game. Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we're going to get to your comments, start to talk about the Ole Miss versus Tulane playoff game. Celebrate. They just showed John Summerall and the Tulane Green Wave getting to Vaught-Hemingway Stadium and doing their wave walk and all that. But when we come back, your comments, Mike Huseman joining us right after this, coming up next. Ever feel like your money just disappears each month? It happens fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account that doesn't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances because managing your money should not feel like a second job. Rocket Money does all the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress a lot less. Rocket Money finds those subscriptions you forgot you were paying for and helps you clean them up quickly. Seeing all your spending on one dashboard makes it easier to understand where your money is going. I like how Rocket Money will automatically build budgets based on past spending. It keeps you on track without you having to overthink it. Take control of your finance, cancel unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Ole Miss versus Tulane, about an hour and a half away, 2 hours away, something like that, on TNT on TV. You can stream it on HBO Max. That is available to you. We're going to get in and take some of your comments. Mike, real quick before we get out of here, your prediction for the day.
Ole Miss wins, Tulane covers.
Ole Miss wins, Tulane covers. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 38-24, and everybody's going to look at that and say, hey, Tulane's not going to score 24 points. It's like, well, they were in Ole Miss territory multiple times with short fields to go into the end zone. If they convert a couple of those, the game looks score-wise completely different. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just feel like the laws of averages say it's probably likely going to happen as well. So let's take some comments before we get out of here and get ready for this momentum historic game at Ole Miss today. Robert Ainsworth says, let's go SW Hotty Toddy live from Spain. Let's get after it today. Yeah, we're all coming at you from different locations. Robert's in Spain. I'm at a Beef O'Brady's in Tampa, Florida. Getting ready for the game, watching it. The weird thing is, Mike,
I'm at Marshall in West Virginia. Yep.
Yes. The weird thing is, whenever you watch this game, and it will never not be weird whenever Miami makes a play and all of a sudden the bar cheers. And you're like, what's going on? And then you realize, oh, yeah, I'm in Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. This might be an Ole Miss bar, but I'm in Florida. But, yeah, that's actually pretty interesting as well. James York says, HYDR, I've been waiting for this day for 45 years. Yes. This is a massive, massive day for Ole Miss. Tate Reeves, the governor of Mississippi, throwing shade at the governor of Louisiana. Tate Reeves going to the game. Every former player that I can think of is going back to Oxford. John Forcade's going to be there. Bill Flowers, the two members that really go to our show, Mike Espy, all those guys are going to be in Oxford. I bet you there's 150 players in Oxford. And I was thinking about it. That makes sense because they were practicing. They were trying to get to a moment just like this whenever they played. Yeah. So, of course, they might feel like they deserve a little bit of ownership and they've earned this, essentially. So that there's going to be a decent former player contingent at the game.
I would expect there to be. This is, whether or not it's the biggest game in Ole Miss history, it's the biggest on-campus game in Ole Miss history anyway. So to get all of that influx into Oxford is massive, and it'll be a fun atmosphere.
Yeah, starting about the Florida game, maybe the South Carolina game, every game that Ole Miss played was the biggest game in Ole Miss history because of what it could mean.
Yeah.
If Ole Miss lost, it wasn't. It wasn't there. But Ole Miss winning would start the crescendo, and it's still going. If Ole Miss beats Tulane, the Sugar Bowl becomes the biggest game in Ole Miss history. Yeah. If you beat Georgia, the Ohio State game becomes the biggest game in Ole Miss history. Yeah. And then if you get to the college football playoff national championship, that kind of writes itself a little bit.
Last week, I had to go to Columbia, South Carolina, on the University of South Carolina campus. I stayed at the Graduate Hotel. 2 nights, it was about $400. There's a Graduate Hotel in Oxford. Last night and tonight, a one-room for 2 nights, $6,000.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous listen, before we always talk about watch parties, and that's part of the reason that I am doing the watch party thing today and all of that, because it's gotten ridiculous to actually go to a football game. I mean, it's literally a $10,000 proposition for a family of 4 to go see a football game. It doesn't matter if it's a playoff. It could have been a regular season game. They charge an insane amount of money for it. So I think watch parties like this will become the norm. Heck, there's like 7 Ole Miss fans that are already here, and we're not even having the watch party yet. Yeah.
I mean, we got 4 playoff games this weekend. The most expensive ticket per seat, FCS Montana State.
Oh, that game is going to be great. When is kickoff for that, by the way?
Oh, I don't know off the top. I'm guessing it's an afternoon game because that's usually when FCS does their playoffs.
Because I can definitely see a 2-picture thing where
4 Eastern.
Yeah. Okay, so it's on at the same time. I do not see that being something that is the Ole Miss people are watching that during that game.
Yeah, no.
James York also says the players deserve all the props for what they've done. They've taken what everybody would think is a rebuild and shown what Rebel grit is. Yeah. Listen, I think I said this, and Mike, you can probably back me up on that. Last year, Ole Miss had a 12-0 roster that they went 9-3 with it, but everybody thinking Ole Miss is going to take a step back, they were going 8-4, 7-5. No, a step back would be 11-1, 10-2. because of how talented they were a year ago. They took a step back, but this got better and better and better. And at this point in the same season, well, obviously at this point, but let's say in mid-November, this football team is better than that 2024 football team.
Yes.
And it's not particularly close, even though that 2024 football team is the more talented team.
Absolutely. You've said that multiple times that they were 12-0 roster that lost 3. And when we were doing our predictions, in August for the season, I picked 4 teams from the SEC would go to the playoffs. I got Alabama and Ole Miss right. Now, I didn't get Texas and LSU right by a long shot, but I thought Ole Miss was good enough to be a playoff team, and I was right on that one.
Yeah. LSU spent $20 million in the transfer portal, and they went 7-5, and they've got a massive game in the Texas Bowl.
And Texas is, as much as Texas was throwing shade the last week, that was an 11 or 12 win roster that won 9 games this year.
Yeah. Is Sark and Kiffin, they have some similarities. They do. Whenever they win, it's just because they just play percentages essentially. But they will both lose games that they should win. All right. Rex Thompson says this is a great time to be a Rebel fan. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I think Trey Blackman says, hotty toddy, let's win this. Hey, I would agree with all of that. Before we get out of here, I'm going with 38-24, Ole Miss winning. You said Ole Miss wins but doesn't cover. What kind of scoreline do you think it might be?
Similar to you, I would say something in the range of 35-20, 34-19, something in that, 14, 15-ish points. Yeah. I'll go 34-19, I'll say. Yeah.
34-19. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. The game kicks off at 3:30 on TNT or HBO Max. It should be really interesting as well. Mike, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you next time, buddy.
Have a good day. Go Rebs.
Go Rebs. All right. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to listen every single day. Check out a second listen on the network, either Locked On College Football or Locked On SEC and Chris Gordy. They are there for you, and they make it to where your life is easier. Have you heard about the Everydayer Club? The Everydayer Club, you can pay $5 a month or $50 a year and have exclusive commercial-free access, uninterrupted access to your favorite Locked On podcast. You can check out Locked On Ole Miss. And if you want even more than that, you have the All Access tier, which is about $15 per month. You have Dalen Flowers, Mike Huseman, who you just heard from, Coach Corey Burton. He is going to do a lot as well. We are doing things a little bit differently, and we appreciate all of you coming along for the ride for us. Anyway, the game kicks off in about an hour and a half. Enjoy it. It should be great. You've earned this, and there's no reason why you shouldn't enjoy it. Honestly, we're just being real about that. None at all. Anyway, take care. Hotty toddy. Go Red.